Okay, welcome everybody. Garrett Sussman here. I am the Senior Content Marketing Manager at Grade Us. Appreciate you joining us. Today we are doing a webinar featuring a brand new feature of Grade Us, which is the ability to use Google Tag Manager with the Grade Us review funnel landing pages. So this webinar is actually going to be 5 ways to use Google Tag Manager with your review funnel. In terms of what I'm going to cover today, I will be doing a little bit of basics with Google Tag Manager. I will be showing how the setup works on Grade Us. This is currently a beta feature, and it's something that will be available to our agency, or is available to our agency and partner customers. In order to get access, you would just need to email support@grade.us and request to be included in the program, and then we will give you the step-by-step guide. And basically, then I will go through the implementation of Google Tag Manager, make sure it's working for your specific Grade Us profile. And then we'll dive into some of the ways that you'll be able to use Google Tag Manager on the review funnel. This webinar is recorded and it will be available along with the slide deck basically next week when I post a blog about it. I will not be taking any questions for this webinar just because I don't want to get too much in the weeds. It's already pretty technical, but I do appreciate everybody joining us. And one thing I will point out is, like our CSS feature with Grade Us, we do not provide development resources for Google Tag Manager. So what I usually recommend, I will provide a bunch of links to, beginner tutorials and more advanced blogs that have insights. However, if you do get stuck on your own, I would recommend hiring a developer or a marketer who is familiar with the program. Google Tag Manager is free, and it will also be free as part of your program as an agency or partner customer at Grade Us. So let's dive into it with the early housekeeping. First off, the basics of learning Google Tag Manager. The appeal of Google Tag Manager is that it is a tool that Google has created that allows people who maybe don't know advanced coding in terms of JavaScript or more advanced HTML, CSS. You need to know a little basics, but to be able for them to do more advanced types of marketing techniques or making updates to their website or more advanced data analytics without having to depend on a web developer every time you need to make an update. So the real key in the first place is just getting the initial code onto your website. However, WordPress has a plugin that allows you to do it, as well as if you just reach out to a developer, or if you have access to your main files, it's just about going to Google Tag Manager, getting the header script, and putting it into your website in the first place. So in terms of the learning the basics of Google Tag Manager, here are a few of my favorite resources. Simo Ahava is an excellent SEO, data analyst, and Google Tag Manager expert. His blog has a variety of recipes and creative ideas to use it. You will have the links to all of these in the slide deck afterwards. Bounteous was originally called Lunametrics. They are an organization that basically does a ton of analytics as well. So they have recipes. Conversion Excel is another resource that does a lot of data analytics and courses. They constantly put out really interesting blog articles with ideas for implementation and creative ways to use it. Analytics is a very successful woman who's put together a variety of articles as well. She does a lot of best practices. She actually hasn't posted on her blog in a year, but in terms of, kind of the fundamentals and setting up your analytics in Google Tag Manager, I recommend you check her out. Aleda Solis is an SEO expert. She's really recently been doing videos on YouTube on Mondays called Crawling Mondays, which is really helpful for SEOs. And then Analytics Mania is another resource. So for using Google Tag Manager on Grade Us, the basics, basically, you'll want to reach out, as I mentioned, to support@grade.us for access to the beta feature. You'll sign up for your own Google Tag Manager account at thetagmanager.google.com. It is free. You'll create your own GTM account container, which is just a simple sign-up process. You click, create your container. You submit your request to grade us with the container ID to participate in the beta program for the feature. And then if you're in it, you will be able to add your Google Tag Manager container ID. And I will show you the step-by-step process of how that works on Grade Us. Okay, so setting it up, once we give you access and we flip on the feature, you'll basically log into your Grade Us account. You'll navigate over to this Manage tab on the left-hand side. That will take you to some of the behind the scenes kind of management aspects of your Grade Us account. And so you're gonna wanna navigate over to your Profiles tab. You'll see that up there at the top. Then you'll see all of your various profiles. You'll wanna basically come over to the Edit link of the specific profile that you'll be implementing your Google Tag Manager feature for. And when you get to that page, you'll see this brand new field at the bottom. It says Google Tag Manager Container ID, GTM, and then it'll have the Google Tag Manager Container ID that you'll need to implement there. Just as such, replacing the X's with your numbers. One thing I learned while testing this out is you cannot have spaces before or afterwards, or it will not work. So when you put it in there and you click the update business, just make sure that there are no spaces before or after. Otherwise, it will not be implemented properly, and you'll reach out to us and be like, it's not working. And Carson, who's on this call, will be like, well, what did you do? And I'll be like, I don't know, maybe I missed a space somewhere, and he'll figure it out and help you. But just when you're putting in, just as such, GTM, then the code. Okay. So next, we're going to go through the process of how to test and make sure that it is actually working on your Grade Us review funnel. The first thing you're going to want to do is create a tag and label it. With Google Tag Manager, you're going to want to use best practices with naming conventions. So you want everything to be as clear and organized as possible. That way, when you do need to go and change something or you need to show it to somebody else, the naming conventions will make it very easy to find exactly what you want to. And as you add more tags to your Google Tag Manager container, it can get a little unwieldy. So for this, I'd recommend the testing just to put Grade Us -review funnel test, because you may be using your Google Tag Manager container on like another website or on an analytics tab for other purposes. So you're creating it, you create your tag configuration, you're triggering, you're basically just going to do a custom HTML option for the tag. And then we're going to provide you, once we turn on the feature, with this code to be able to test and basically put a little red block on the page. You can edit this GTM here. It's basically just going to appear as text. So, you can either leave that or put yours just to make sure that it's working. Then you're going to create your trigger. So for the purpose of testing, you're just going to set it to all page views. So that means that it is on all the page views that are targeted for this Google Tag Manager container. And now the key is, when you are going to test it, you want to go into preview mode. Because if you were to just submit this to your workspace, it would be applied and go live. And the purpose of this initial tag is really just to see that it's firing correctly in the way that you want. So you click this preview button, you'll see this big orange kind of alert letting you know that you are in preview mode. And then you'll go to your review funnel URL for this. In this purpose, we're using the GradeUs/us. And there you'll see the little example, HTML tag that we set up for you to test it, to see that that appears on your page, as well as down here, when you in preview mode, you will see the various tags that are fired. And so you can see right down here in the bottom, there's the tag that we created, the Grade Us review funnel test. It's a custom HTML, and it fired one time. It worked correctly. You can also add, there's a Chrome extension that's for Google Tag Manager, and click on that to check that if there are any errors there. Usually it'll either come up blue or yellow to make sure that it's working. If it's red, it will diagnose the problem and let you try to figure out and troubleshoot why that may not have been working. Okay, so now that you have your Google Tag Manager working for Grade Us, the first thing we're going to do is set up a couple of key components that will help you implement some of these really exciting features. The first is making sure that you do have Google Analytics set up. Whether you're already using that on your clients' pages, you'll want to make sure that you're setting up a Google Analytics tag that uses the Universal Analytics tag type, and then your specific Google Analytics code. And you're going to want to set that up for all pages, because later when we implement some of these other strategies and tactics, it'll be tied to Google Analytics. So it's important that we get this set up ahead of time. And then to test, you'll see that the Google Analytics tag, it fires when you go to the review funnel URL landing page. Okay, so the second aspect of using some of these cool features on your Grade Us review funnel is you might want to be able to do different things around events that happen on the landing page. So for instance, if you want to be able to track whether someone clicks 1 star, whether someone clicks 5 stars, whether someone clicks like the link footer at the bottom. We provide a lot of reporting features at Grade Us, but Google Tag Manager now allows you to customize and do more advanced reporting that you might want to set up on your own, independent of our reporting features. So say for instance you have a data analytics dashboard service like Sife, which is a sister company of Grade Us. And actually for any of you who are customers, we sent out a newsletter earlier in the month. We have a discount right now on Sife if you click the link in that newsletter. So feel free to check it out, but you'd be able to send data from your review funnel customized to the way that you want it to be to Sife or to Google Data Studio or whatever data visualization dashboard that you're using. So in terms of setting up the different click events for Google Tag Manager, I'm going to show you how you're going to want to do it for one, and then you'll be able to do it for other ones as well, and use these for some of these other features. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you choose for the tag the Google Analytics tag. And then under the Google Analytics tag, under the tag configuration, you're going to want to set this up as an event. Okay, so now you're going to figure out exactly what you want to track. And so the idea here when you set up these events is they will appear in Google Analytics. I'll show you where that appears. And you can start to see some of the data there that you want to see and set up custom on your own. So when you set up the events tab, tag, you'll actually see these different ways that you can label it. And this is where your labeling will come into play again and make your data really clean so you're following and tracking exactly what you want to. So for this example, we want to set up tracking a 5-star click on the review funnel. So if you have it segmented using the Grade Us review funnel and you have the segmented stars option and you want to do the 5-star rating, the way I would recommend setting up is you're picking the category of star rating, you're picking the action, they're clicking the star, and then you're going to create the specific label, which is the 5-star rating. Now you could set up 5 different events for each of the stars. 1-star rating, 2-star rating, 3-star rating, 4-star rating, 5-star rating. Send that event data to analytics and be able to do some really cool stuff with it. If for whatever reason that you're using like the thumbs up, thumbs down, instead of doing the star rating, you could do, thumb rating and then have the label be thumbs up or have the label be thumbs down and be able to track that. So now that you have the tracking label set up, you're going to identify which specific element you're going to track. And so you're going to do that by configuring your trigger type. For this trigger type, you're actually going to set up a click, which is initially you're going to choose from on all elements. And then I'll show you on the right-hand side how you're going to actually specify which element specifically you want to track when it's clicked. So you would go over to your Grade Us review funnel, your own review funnel. and look at the page. So really open it up and do the inspect, where you kind of do the control click on Mac or the right click on a PC. And you'll see the option to inspect a specific element. That'll open up some developer code on the right-hand side. And so you'll see here, I'm trying to identify the 5-star rating, which in our code, you'll see has an ID of rating -5. So what I can now do when I'm configuring the click element is, instead of going to all clicks, I'm going to switch over to some clicks. I'm going to pick from the different drop-down menus here and choose click ID, which is the ID of how we're identifying this specific element. And we're going to say it equals rating 5. So now, anytime you have a click on a 5-star on your review funnel, Google Tag Manager will fire a trigger that will send that information that we configured to Google Analytics with the category, the label, and the action. And so when you're in your Google Analytics now, when you come over to the behavior section and you come under events and you see your top events, this example has a landing page, but if I was using the example that I just created, it would say 5-star rate, or it would say star rating under category. If I went to the event label and clicked on that, then it would say 5-star rating. So you can see how many times it's clicked, how many unique times it's clicked. And if you want to add a value to that event, there is actually, it's worth it to consider how much value that would have for you, because when we get to Facebook retargeting audiences later, they've actually made a change recently that would require you to put in an event value when it comes to setting up an audience. And that's where it gets exciting. So you basically come to Google Analytics, you come over to the behavior, you come down to the events, and this is where you can start seeing the events firing based on the event category, event label, and some of the other, total events, unique events there. So why the heck did we go through all of this? And of course, we have a Neil Patrick Harris GIF, because now we can start to use analytics, events, and tags to do some pretty cool things with our review funnel. So the first thing that I want to show you that we can now do is we can now set up A/B testing using Google Optimize in experiments. So the idea behind this is, if you're not a coder and you don't know how to, really go behind the scenes and upload a different version, A/B test, I mean, it's not something that GradeUs currently offers on our basic plan. And it's something that customers have asked us to do for a while, which is the ability to A/B test their review funnel. Using Google Tag Manager, you can now set that up. So you set up your Google Optimize account, you create a tag in Google Tag Manager, and they actually have a specific Google Optimize tag type that you can use connected to your Google Analytics here. And you can either have it set to all pages, or you can just specifically go to your review funnel URL and set that up as a specific page. You're creating your name, so then you'll have your own Google Optimize name, kind of checkbox their terms of service. And then you can start doing some experimentation and get all mad scientist. So you create your first experiment. You, come in with a name, and goes back to the best practices in naming. Make sure, especially if you're going to be using a lot of tests, to use a descriptive name so you know what it is referring to. And then you can see here which page you're targeting. So in our case, I was using the GradeUs review funnel, which is just GradeUs/us. And then you can choose the type of experiment that you want to do. And you can actually do a few different types of experiments that Optimize has in beta. I typically have only used A/B testing in the past. One time a while ago, my colleague in sales, Boris, and we were doing A/B testing of, on our demo button, how we were going to change the copy on our demo button. And we tried 3 different versions to see what worked. So you'll basically choose your experiment type. And so these are all the different steps you're going to use to set up your Google Optimize experiment. You're going to create the different variations that you're going to test against. You're going to create your targeting rules. If you do want to get more sophisticated, there's a lot of customization opportunity for how you're targeting. You're making sure that it is linked to analytics so you can see the experiment results in your analytics properties and views. You'll set up specific objectives, and this is where it goes back to those events that we created. You can do that initially. You will also actually be able to do that in Google Optimize. And then once everything is good to go, you'll be able to start your experiment. So when you're creating your variants, I'll keep repeating this. I can't help myself. Use best practices. Know what you're referring to when you name a variant. So in this example, I named the variant blue copy, and literally all I'm going to do is change the color of the text to blue. Now, there's a variety of different things that you can test out. You might want to, try a version with your social media buttons, and a version without your social media buttons. You might want to try a version with a picture of your employees versus one without, and see how that might impact the actual click-through rate or the 5-star rating. You could try a whole variety of different, options, and the more sophisticated you are with your coding, you can do that much more if you do have developer help. And so you'll see here, you'll be able to choose how it's weighted. Best practice is really doing it equally. If you do have 3 variants, obviously you want to do 33% across the board. I probably wouldn't want to do more than 3 at the most, but you can. So basically, then you can preview the version of the review funnel with both of the variants, and you can actually edit it with this "what you see is what you get" editor. Now, the Google Optimize is free, so anyone can set this up and take advantage of this really cool tool. So when I click the edit variant, it'll take you to a version of the page that you're targeting with this kind of menu tool at the top and menu tool at the side. And so you can just click on your elements and start either changing the copy, you can change the color. There are a variety of different, you can get very sophisticated in here if you want to, if you do have, like more HTML and CSS experience. You can also test it on different devices. So, if it doesn't look as good on mobile, or, say for instance, you want to see how your review stream looks, if you've included that on your review funnel all the way down, you can see that by clicking up here, and it'll show you like a mobile device versus your desktop. Make sure you save, and then you'll choose your targeting. So in this case, we are just using, grade us / us, which is our review funnel. Basic bigger picture tutorial. If you've never used Google Optimize before and you want to use this for your website, you can actually use this, Google Tag Manager and Optimize on your website. So in that case, you might want to focus on a variety of different pages, or adding specific conditions as to who and what will be targeted and when. So in terms of setting your objectives, with any experiment, we want to make sure that we know what we're testing, the types of results we'll want to see, and how we'll know who the actual winner is. So for instance, if you are using Google Analytics, you might have set up your own goals. Like on Grade Us, we use free trials. For that demo button example that I said earlier, we had a event set up for a demo scheduled. And so that was the objective of the different copy, to see the goal, the results of that. However, you can actually set up a custom event, an objective just for a specific experiment. So while you can have everything set up and you choose from the list and you'll see your option, the drop down, if you've already created it, if you're doing it on the spot, you can create this custom event. And so simply click the event after clicking create custom, and then you'll choose the event label equals rating 5, and so that'll actually identify the event that you've set up prior. And then you'll just make sure you want to describe it as page visitor clicks on 5 stars. And so now, there's some configured pre-assigned ones like bounce rate, which I do think has some interesting value in terms of the review funnel. So this idea of going to the review funnel and the bounce rate is whether they interacted with the page or not. So you could use the bounce rate as an objective. And if you see, like a higher bounce rate where they're not doing any clicks and they're just leaving the page before giving you any sort of rating, that would be an objective you might want to track in the optimize experiment. So finally, you'll just want to test to make sure that the experiment is all set up with its installation. So at the bottom, you'll see this run diagnostic. It'll take you over to the page. It'll check to see that everything is firing and implemented correctly. And if so, it will give you this alert, optimize is correctly installed. If not, it will help you diagnose what went wrong with the big red mark there. One thing to keep in note, I did not set up for this, but because of the way the code works, typically there's a slight delay where you see the original, the flicker, where you see the original, and then it switches over to the variant if they're served the variant version. You can actually follow this link that they give you on the tutorial on how to install a code that would prevent the flicker from coming. Because the truth is, even though it's probably super minor, it could affect the experiment results. And then pretty much once you have all of these details in place and you've previewed it and you've tested it and it's configured, then you just click start and your experiment will start immediately, and it'll start serving up the variants to your traffic, the users on your traffic. So now when you want to start seeing the results of your experiment, now if you're connected to Google Analytics, you'll basically just come right over to Google Analytics. You'll come over to your behavior section, and down here, you'll now see experiments. And so now you can, depending on which objectives you set up, you can see the performance of each of the versions, the blue copy or the original. And, it shows you how many experiment sessions, how long you've been doing it, who all is included, whether the status is running or not. You can set the timetable for the experiment. Otherwise, it typically goes about 3 months, I believe. And you can end it at any time as well if you determine a winner. So yeah, that is the first really cool way that you can use Google Tag Manager with the Grade Us review funnel. And if you've never used Google Tag Manager before or Optimize, hopefully you have some insights in terms of using Optimize on any of your web design or website development. Next up, number 2, heat maps with HotJar. Okay, so if you ever see really cool heat maps, this is a great way to diagnose the success of your funnel. If you want to see how people are actually interacting with the page, HotJar is another free service. And the implementation of HotJar using Google Tag Manager is actually significantly easier than all of the other stuff. It's really just a matter of grabbing the code and creating this custom HTML code that you just paste in there and set up the tag, and then you can start doing these heat maps and recordings. And as you can see in the screenshot, with HotJar, you're able to see clicks, so where people actually click on a page, move, like how they actually move it around, and then scrolling. So you're not going to see as much value for scrolling with the Grade Us review funnel unless they have the review stream on there and you have the list of different reviews, and you could see whether or not they're actually scrolling down to see all of the different reviews that you've added with the review stream on your main review funnel. So here's they have a really nice GIF to show you how to do it. Basically, for the tag configuration, there is a custom HotJar tracking code. So basically, you scroll down, you find this little HotJar tracking code, and there are a ton of basically default integrations for tags that you can use in here that makes creating tags that much easier. So definitely check it out in terms of Google Tag Manager. For anything that is not covered here that you're interested in, chances are there is a tag that's already made for it. But really, it's just a matter of grabbing the default HotJar tag, grabbing your specific ID code, putting in the HotJar ID, and then making sure that it triggers for either all pages or just specifically your review funnel page. And that's all there is for the Google Tag Manager setting up of HotJar. And so now, basically on HotJar, you'll just want to add the site that you're targeting. These are the different options you'll see here in terms of, how you want to, describe it. We have SaaS. You might be an e-commerce site. It might just be, a blog or a personal site or just another small business client. You just put in the URL. So in this case, it would be the Grade Us review funnel that you've set up. And then you click Add Site. If you want to check out some of the other features that they do have, it's hotjar.com/tour. And so once that's set up, you kind of just sit and wait and see how people interact with your site. And so you can start to see these really cool interactions. So you'll see where people are clicking on the page. This is another one where it's like if you're testing out, the social media buttons, for instance, or if you want to see how people interact with the different modal window pop-ups, you'll see where people are clicking. And then here's the kind of scroll heat map that it'd be interesting to see, if you have your review stream implemented. And then obviously, opening your eyes to this and using Google Tag Manager, this can be used on your clients' websites as well. It was definitely eye-opening, putting on the Grade Us site and, seeing how people interact with that. And so the other really cool feature is doing these recordings. Now you can actually watch how someone interacts with your site. Now, none of the data is recorded in terms of like any personal identifiers, and actually all the numbers, if you did this on a site with numbers, would be X'd out. But we can watch where their cursor goes, what they click on. HotJar will let you know where they click. So thankfully, my colleague Yuri had some fun and wanted to do a demo for us. So he went on the site and we found the recording, and here's him just moving all around and clicking the different options in terms of checking out the 4 stars, and then maybe they click back. Maybe you see that customers are considering leaving a review on Facebook, but ultimately choose Google. Maybe there was something on there that was putting them off that you're trying to diagnose. And so with this HotJar recording, now you can start to kind of look into how your clients' customers or your own customers are interacting with the review funnel. Okay. Next up, this is actually, it's come up a bunch with customers in the past, so we're really excited about this. Yuri, our digital ad specialist at Grade Us, helped me out with this part as well, because he's already doing a lot of this stuff. And just when I started to realize the potential for Facebook retargeting and lookalike audiences with the Google Tag Manager, I think it's just a really exciting advertising strategy that you can now use for your own business or your clients. Basically, for those who aren't familiar, the idea of the Facebook pixel is grabbing a code that puts a cookies on the site and then allows you to pull really interesting audience data about the people who are visiting that website. And so now you can start to see how setting up these different custom events in the context of setting up an advertising campaign can be really powerful and can make you deliver some really great e-commerce or conversion results for your clients based on targeting really happy customers. So the whole idea between setting up your Facebook pixel and Google Tag Manager is, you need to go to your business or your client's Facebook account and go specifically to the events manager. You'll need to set up, your advertising account. You'll click the setup and select the manually install the code yourself. And so you're going to want to copy the entire pixel-based code as shown below. So you follow this process, you go to Events Manager, get started with the Facebook pixel, grab it, and then what we're going to do, and there's the setup guide is here with step-by-step instructions as well, if you want to go back and do it on your own. So you're creating basically another custom HTML tag. So, label it Facebook pixel base code. You're choosing the HTML tag. You're grabbing the actual code here and pasting it in here. And then you're going to want to fire once per page. And then you're going to have it fire on all pages. And so once that is previewed, you make sure it's working, tested, and you set it live, then you're starting to see that data come up in Facebook from people who actually visited your Grade Us review funnel. So now we can start sending specific review funnel events to Facebook for the ad targeting. So in this case, this goes back to our 5-star rating event. And basically you'll want to create a custom Facebook pixel event. And it's just a basic script. You just grab this and they can show you on that support article that was on this previous page. It shows you how to create these custom events, but it's basically just this code with the event name that you create. And then you have to decide how you want it to trigger. So in this case, on the 5-star ratings click, which is based on the ID of that rating 5. So now you're sending an event to Facebook that has anytime someone clicks on a 5-star rating on your review funnel. So here's an example that Yuri helped me out with that shows you how you can use an event like that. In this example, we're using the watch demo on the Grade Us site to create audiences and retarget them with your advertising, as well as create lookalike audiences. So with Grade Us, we have a Facebook event pixel that's based on watching the demo button on our homepage. Yuri created this, he labeled it Facebook Pixel Event, Watch Demo, it's custom HTML. It's when someone clicks on that Watch Demo button that has its specific ID, so we identified it there, and says, you know, we've created this, which will trigger when a user clicks on that Watch Demo button. Same would happen with the 5-star click when you set it up. Now in the Events Manager, you can see this event come up as labeled Watch Demo, or in our example, the 5-star rating. So now that you have this as an event in Facebook, you can start doing some great advertising campaigns with it. So basically now you can go over and create a brand new audience and have it fire when they click on the website traffic. And see how it says you can create a list of people who visit your website or took specific actions. And so now, in terms of the took specific actions and you're creating this custom audience, you can do this drop down and you'll be able to find your Facebook Pixel event 5-star rating and create a brand new custom audience. And so that will basically identify demographics and the actual customers who visited that page and clicked on the 5-star for retargeting campaigns or lookalike audiences. So now users who watch the demo is a custom audience in your audience list that you can serve advertisements for. And you know, if you're using the 5-star, rating as the event example, you know they're happy customers. And we all know that once you acquire a happy customer, they're that much more likely to revisit your business and repurchase from you. So for e-commerce, you could target them that way. For a service industry, you can get them in for an appointment or create some ad campaign around setting up an appointment. There are lots of different creative ways that you can do advertising campaigns knowing that you have a 5-star rating. And it's also interesting, think about what you potentially could do for unhappy customers and how you could retarget them. If they did have a good experience, maybe you do a campaign about, recovering them and say, something about how it didn't work the first time, but we wanted to give you, a special discount or a special promo. Come back, let us know, we'll work with you. A lot of potential with this retargeting. So now you can also use the Facebook lookalike audiences. So while you're capturing all this information and demographic info about the people who do click on these events, Facebook allows you to create a similar audience, a lookalike audience based on those demographics. So if you have a segment of happy customers who love your service, love your business, love your clients, you can now create a brand new audience on Facebook of lookalike audience who uses the same demographics as that original and target brand new advertising campaigns to them and bring in customers who are similar to your best customers. So it's really interesting to think about the potential of using those lookalike audiences to find brand new audiences and new customers for yourself or your client. And so Yuri was just kind of showing how you would set up these custom audiences. You can click on the field and it'll show you a different option you can use to create your lookalike audience. And then you click on other sources, you scroll down and you'll find that custom audience that you have created. Then finally, you just choose a location you want to target and the audience size, then just click on create audiences. And as we mentioned earlier, there is a workaround, but the lookalike audience now does sometimes ask for the event value. So if you're using these events, that's why we said earlier in the webinar to consider adding a estimated value of what a 5-star or 1-star click might be if you run into that issue. And so now you'll have this brand new lookalike audience in which you can target and send advertising campaigns to. Really cool stuff. Okay, use case number 4, LinkedIn Insight Tag. Now this is really cool for B2B businesses and clients, because for B2B clients, a lot of them use LinkedIn, and some of the information from LinkedIn profiles is going to be more valuable in a professional capacity. Your sales team would be really excited about this. So the idea behind the LinkedIn Insight Tag is basically LinkedIn, when you set up an advertising account, and you don't actually have to start paying anything on the account, you just need to set it up as if you were going to start a LinkedIn advertising campaign. It's kind of similar to Google Ads, how back in the day, the only way you got access to Keyword Explorer or their keyword tool was if you actually started a Google ad campaign. But once you do, in the campaign manager, you'll see this insight tag and the ability to add that to any page of your website or your Grade Us review funnel. So now you can see the audience demographic, the LinkedIn audience demographic of your users who are visiting the review funnel. So it's another like kind of simpler one where it's just a matter of grabbing the ID, the LinkedIn data partner ID from that insight tag code, and then placing it in the default LinkedIn Insight tag type right there under partner ID, and then installing that and triggering that on either all pages or specifically your review funnel. And then, just in no time, you'll start to see, I think it's a 300 traffic limit where you need, or not limit, but threshold that you need to start seeing the data come in. So once you start having about 300 visits, you'll start to see these really cool graphs that show you the demographics of the visitors to either your website or to your review funnel. And now all of a sudden you can actually, determine, look at these different attributes, which is whether it's the job function of the people who are visiting, the job title, actual companies that they work for, their company industry, their job seniority, company size, location, and country. And so you can set this up by specific time ranges. If you have multiple pages on your website that you want to specifically track, so independent of the review funnel, you can set up these different audiences through the LinkedIn Insight Tag. And through LinkedIn audiences and campaigning, you can actually do the same thing as the pixel, where you can send a campaign to these, customers who are visiting your review funnel based on that information. And the final special review funnel use case is adding a chatbot to your review funnel. So the idea here is if you use Drift or Intercom, basically you can grab same HTML custom code. Drift, for instance, provides this JavaScript that you can just copy and create your own tag. And the tag will then set up an actual chatbot if you want to have, the chat available on your review funnel, say for instance, and if you do get more sophisticated, you could probably hide it and have it trigger only if a 1-star review went up, and maybe use that instead of the feedback form. We had a intercom integration back in the day, but now you can set this up on your own. And so basically you just grab that code, you create your own custom HTML, you paste the code in there, and then you have it set up for either all the pages, or if you want to just specifically identify that review funnel page, you can set that up there by going to page view, some page views, and then page URL equals the review funnel. So I made a lot of examples previously that just had all page views. If you did want to target a specific page, this is how you would do it. You click on the page view trigger configuration, click some page views, select page URL from the dropdown equals to your review funnel URL. And so that's pretty much the 5 major cool things that you can do and implement with Google Tag Manager on the Grade Us review funnel now. As you can tell, I'm geeking out about it. I'm really excited. I think it has a lot of potential, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to do creative things with it beyond these 5 things. Just a couple final thoughts as we get to the end here is that you always will want to test and make sure that it works on your pages, and make sure that you do it in preview mode before deploying anything that would go out live in public. Naturally, you don't want to get into any embarrassing situations. And so, you click that preview, you see the tags below, you make sure the tag that you're working on is firing at the time that you want it to fire before you move on. And then the other big thing is making sure that you follow best practices when it comes to the way you name your tags, triggers, and your experiments. The idea behind that is as you get a lot of Facebook tags and triggers, or you're doing all these Facebook pixel events, it can get a little unwieldy. And so, knowing where everything is, how to adjust it, how to find it will be really essential to, good implementation, deployment, and all that jazz. A couple of housekeeping elements before we leave too is, so once again, for access of the Grade Us Google Tag Manager review funnel feature, it doesn't come at an extra cost, but you do need to be on the agency plan or the partner plan to get access as a beta tester. And we would just love for you to email out to support@grade.us, and then we will have our team turn it on for you. And then it's just a matter of putting in your Google Tag Manager container number, and then you can start to play around with it. The truth is there is a lot of technical variability when it comes to using something like this and adjusting code and doing all these things. So we actually do not provide technical support for Google Tag Manager usage on your Grade Us review funnel. Unfortunately, if you do run into an issue and need to troubleshoot, there are a variety of great resources on the internet, in the slide deck that I presented at the beginning, as well as the blog post that I will post next week. I will have some of those resources there, but we won't be able to help out if you run into a specific issue with it. As I mentioned, to become a beta tester, email support@grade.us, and we will get back to you and turn on that feature so you can start playing around with it. And don't worry, this webinar has been recorded. The slides will be uploaded in a blog post for future viewing and access. And we're really excited about it. We would love to get feedback. So once you are testing it, please let us know what's working, what's not working, whether it's for your business or your clients. We'd love to get feedback, if it's something your clients understand and they're excited about, or, if it's leading you to any headaches in any capacity. Any feedback would be great. And naturally, we do want to make sure like the initial implementation is working. If you do run into any bugs there in terms of just setup, we definitely want to know, make sure it works fine. Thank you everybody for coming. I really enjoyed today. It's really fun to showcase these brand new features and show Grade Us off. If you do have any questions or want to ever kind of do another onboarding session, or if you're a prospect who's looking at Grade Us and potentially thinking about joining us, for prospects, please reach out to sales@grade.us, or for support, reach out to support@grade.us. My name is Garrett Sussman. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager, and it's been a pleasure. You have a good one. Thanks again.